here's a quick rundown and explanation of how I've set up Sram AXS Eagle to run with 11-speed cassette. Up here we've got the AXS shifter with the updated paddle. Here's the XX1 derailleur. Shouldn't matter on the spec level, it's just material changes to save weight. And then the E13 11-speed cassette. So there's a 9-tooth at the bottom and a 46-tooth at the top. And then if you size down your chainring, I've got a 30-tooth here, had a 32 before, then you get about as much range as you do with an 12-speed, like 10 by 50 or whatever they're doing these days. And yeah, so there's a little bit of weight savings there. And then these E13 cassettes are relatively cheap, or comparatively cheap. And then these two pieces are independent of each other, and you can swap out the larger rings when they eventually wear faster. And then to round it out, there's an 11-speed Shimano XTR Derailleur chain here. And so I set up everything as Sram would tell you to. Install the derailleur, set the limit adjust here, set the larger and the smaller, and then set the B-adjust with their new B-adjust tool. This thing is pretty slick. There's a bunch of videos online on how to use it, but found it to be the easiest of all the drivetrains I've set up. And so now I'll just run through the shifting and then maybe answer a few other questions that might pop up about this setup here and what I was running before. So you will see there's two shifts here. So I'll shift the 11th time and it will go into this bigger cog, and then I can shift again for the 12th shift and it will pretty much do nothing. There's no way that I know of to go in the AXS app and say, hey, I'm only running 11 speeds. I read some things online about maybe some of the ETAP stuff or with the road shifters being able to do that, but I haven't found a way to do it with the mountain setup. And so you'll see that here. Hasn't bothered me, you know, never shifts past and drops chain or anything like that. Works pretty smooth. Some people may be frustrated by a basically ghost shift, but hasn't bothered me. And the crisp and like hassle-free setup and you know, lack of adjustment needed thereafter has been well worth the ghost shift, as I guess I'm calling it. So I'll put this on the tripod and run through the shifts now. There's that first shift into the bigger cog. You see it does nothing after that. Go back down, first shift does nothing because that was the 12th shift. We're going back down, back in. Down there, no extra shifts at this end. Does multi-shifts just fine. So that wheel back down. I think I've got it set to do 3 shifts on a press and hold. You can change that in the AXS app. Here's that upper shift again. So here's the first shift into it, gets it fine. There's that second one. No real changes, maybe a slight noise change. Haven't noticed any issues on the trail or anything like that. Yeah, that's pretty much all the shifting. Now I'll kind of run through a few things that some viewers might want to see. So before, I was running the newer XTR 12-speed derailleur. It's the M9100 or RD M9100, but this is the short cage, so it only goes up to 45 tooth. With the same newer XTR 9100 shifter. This shifter has a screw right here that you can swap between 12 and 11 speed. I was running that with the same cassette, same chain, and chainring and all that, and it was running fine. No major issues. Shifting was definitely not as crisp as like a stock Shimano, full Shimano setup, and not even as good as a SRAM shift either. Definitely not very good shifting under load, but it did the trick. It's a pretty lightweight setup with the 11-speed cassette. But once you factor in the cable and the housing, it's pretty close to the same weight as this setup. So that's something to care about. Could be good if you don't want to splurge for the AXS setup. You could, you know, run the older 11-speed stuff with this cassette and have a pretty cheap and lightweight setup. For those wondering, this is the ride wrap that's on here. This is a 21 Epic Evo. You can see classic Evo thing where the shifter hits the top tube, but this ride wrap has helped a lot with that. Not the tailored setup, just like the generic full suspension mountain setup. This right here was a carbon repair. So East Bench Composites up in Ogden does carbon bike repair, trying to keep less carbon bikes out of landfill. Pretty early on, only a couple months having this bike, I fell over on a techie climb, punched a hole right through here. This is a flex stay, so kind of an important part. Doesn't have that extra pivot down here to allow this to move. It just flexes. And I've put easily over 1,000 miles on this bike, anything from trail to cross-country riding, and no issues, no cracks, nothing at all. Never did the repaint, but it's been working great. Those wondering on the hub, this is a GT Swiss 240, not the newest one, but the one before that, with just the 36 tooth ratchet. It's the Magura MT8 SLs back there. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. It's been a good setup so far. Couldn't really find any info on the web about if this would work. So that's why I'm making this video. Don't really make videos, so apologize for any production issues that you may have with the quality of this video. Thanks for watching, and yeah, have a good one.